Hey everyone, it's Frankie-Lou. I'm coming to you today from the Grow to Gather Homestead, where I am prepping up some more of my large winter sowing containers. These guys here, these big 15-liter water cooler bottles. It does bring up another issue that I often have to deal with here, which is soil costs. Okay, so my number one tip for saving money on soil is to start creating your own. Okay, I am a compost fanatic, and you can see many of my other videos do focus on compost, so I'm not going to focus on that too much today. But if you have room at your property to start creating some a compost bin and start composting, please do take the time to do that, because the enrichment that I get from my own soil, I create buckets and buckets and buckets of this beautiful black gold every year. And I dress all of my raised beds twice a year, once in the spring and once in the fall with it. And I don't have to do any additional fertilizing. That takes care of it. So that's a big money saver. It helps to top up my beds so I don't have to buy as much soil every year. And I don't have to buy fertilizer. It's natural. I produced it here myself, so I know what's going in. So yes, number one money saver is start creating your own compost. And as I said, I do have other videos about it, about how Angus and I do build our own compost here, and so do check that out. Creating compost is one of those. All right, so then we have another fabulous thing that I like to do, making use of soil delivery services. I would say that I put almost 7 liters of soil in here, and that can add up pretty quickly if I'm using my good old Pro Mix, which I love. And I will always continue to use that for my milk jugs. But when I'm starting to talk about filling my containers for the summer, filling my hanging baskets, filling these, which will be containers once I do remove the lids, once true summer arrives here, that adds up pretty quick, okay? I love the product, but I can't afford. I'm going to be making hundreds of these. What am I going to do? I can't afford to spend hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of dollars on soil. A lot of people think that soil delivery is a hassle because you get this huge these huge totes arriving in your front yard. And maybe you don't need a whole yard. That's a lot of soil, right? We're talking over 760 liters of soil in a yard. Okay. I could fill 100 of these with a yard of soil. But many of the smaller soil delivery services actually have self-serve bins in their lots. And honestly, I loved it because the cost savings that I get when I need a lot of soil, okay, like the equivalent of 3 of these, say, I can pay to do pickup at one of these lots in one of their self-serve bins and pay almost the same amount for a half a cubic yard, okay, which is about 380 liters. Okay, that's a lot of soil. That's over 3 times the size of one of these. And I paid yesterday, I went and got mine picked up, and it was 28 bucks. Okay, and this is good quality soil. This is the soil that I fill my garden beds up with every year. And I do usually get a delivery of a few yards a year because I'm constantly expanding my garden. But this time of the year, when I'm not ready to get a big delivery, I actually will go down to my favorite little soil delivery place and do a self-serve bin. Now, I don't want you to think that I'm sitting there shoveling out. Let me show you here in this little clip how helpful and convenient it is to pick up the soil there, because I basically brought down a bunch of plastic totes, and this is what they did for me there. So awesome. Now, isn't that cool? Okay, I paid for a half a cubic yard, so that is about 380 liters of soil. And I brought 4 of these enormous bins with me. I should have brought 6 to 8, okay, because they could have filled that. And then not only did they fill them for me with that fun machine there, they also helped me put it in my van. So If you have a pickup truck, a lot of those places will allow you to dump the soil. They'll dump the soil right into the back of your pickup truck. I just have a van that thinks it's a pickup truck, and I fill it full of these. And I probably could have filled another 2 or 3, which would have fit in here with all the seats taken out. So even if you have a smaller vehicle, you could probably get away with getting several of these big totes in, okay? The other good thing about going to do the self-serve at one of these soil delivery services, if you have a smaller one in your community, is you can actually look at the soil. I have been using this particular supplier now for 7 years because I love them, okay? I love the quality of the soil. I've worked with other ones before, and I have to say that the product that I get at Bark Mulch Depot is awesome. And they're a local company, so I like supporting them. They're a little bit smaller than one of the huge big box places. And I can go and I can look at my dirt and I can feel it and smell it and know that it's going to be good soil. And the service is also awesome there, okay? If you do want to get a pretty large amount of soil, like more than you get in, say, a couple bales of this, check out your local delivery service. A smaller company like Bark Mulch Depot is very happy to do that, and they're very helpful to do that, and will probably direct you to the right product that you're going to use. If you're looking to fill up new garden beds, doing it with these soil bags, while the soil is great, is really going to be unsustainable. It's going to cost you a fortune. This doesn't cost as much, right? And it's still a great product. This is what I use. It's mixed with compost. They put sand in it for drainage, and it's great. Okay, so another thing that we do to save money on soil here, because I use a lot of soil, is I don't throw anything out, okay? I hear of people who redo their containers every year with completely fresh soil, and that can be very, very costly. So what I like to do is do a mix. I usually do pretty close to 100 containers around this place every year. So that's a lot of soil. And if I was to replace that entirely every year, yeah, the cost would be exorbitant. I keep all my containers. I remove a portion of it to put in my compost bin. Remember we talked about the compost bin earlier. So all this wonderful material here makes great browns for my compost, okay? So I've taken out a significant portion of that here. And then but I don't put all of the soil in. If it's still got loose portions that isn't full of roots, I remove all of the rooty part, okay? Put that in. And then what I do is I mix that. I never start, I can honestly tell you, I don't think I've ever filled a container entirely with brand new soil, because this, while it has had some of the nutrients lacking from it now because it has produced plants with it and they fed off of it, what I do is I usually make a mix up. For my containers, I will mix 1 part from spent from an older container. Then I get some fresh soil, okay, and I mix 1 part that, and then I will also top it up with a nice, like probably about 1/4 part of my compost, okay? Mix that all up. And then I check the consistency for my containers. Obviously, I don't want it to be too heavy. All right, it's one of the reasons why I like this soil. They do mix sand in, and I find that it isn't very heavy, and it is a nice light fluffy mix. So I've actually could put that straight into a container and it would be all right. But if you do find that your blend this is a nice blend here, I don't have to add anything to it. But if you find that when you're doing that your container's soil feels a little heavy, you could add a little peat in to give it a little more fluffiness, okay? And then I fill my containers with that. It's not exactly an exact science. You want to make sure you're getting a nice consistency that's holding its shape, but it's not clay, not too heavy, okay? We all wanted to have lots of nice containers and baskets around, but it can become really expensive, right? If we're just using bagged soil every year. I myself want to have lots around. In the summertime, this place is just full of flowers and plants and edible flowers growing around here. and I don't want to break the bank. The three main things I want to get across to you here, if you do want to save a little bit of money on soil, and if you use this, like my hands look like this most of the time, if you do use a lot of soil like I do, number one, I'm just going to recap here, compost. Really do look into getting your compost sorted out, because it's also very rewarding to know that you're creating something from your own property to help enrich your garden. Two, look into delivery service or actually going and picking up good garden soil from a bulk local soil delivery place. Okay, and number three, don't throw away old soil. Mix it in. I honestly use probably half of in each of my containers is old soil that's been mixed with some new soil and some extra compost for refreshment. And that honestly has worked for me year after year after year. So yeah, you don't have to break the bank in order to have lots of containers around your place and a lot of hanging baskets and stuff around your place. So I hope that was helpful. Please let me know if you have any questions or comments, because I love hearing from you and knowing what you want to see. Subscribe if you want to see some of the things that are coming up. I'm going to be starting work on my very tender vegetables and flowers very, very soon with my winter sowing, and I'll show you a couple little cheats I do with those. And as always, I hope you take this chance to grow together today. Have a good one.